Hello boys and girls. I don't know what age you are and I don't know how many of you that you are, but I want to tell you about my time as an evacuee. The first thing I remember, I was 5 and I was evacuated in November 1940, and the first thing that I remember is going round the corner with my dad, and he brought me a big box of dairy milk chocolates to take with me. And I remember it was a lovely sunny day and I came back up the road holding his hand. And then after that, somebody came and fetched me. My mum went to the station with me, went on the coach into the station at Birmingham, and we all got on the train. And what we were carrying a gas mask round our necks, we got a label on our arms to say who we were and when we'd come from, and we got a tiny little case with a few possessions in that we were taking, and that was just a change of clothes basically. That's all I can remember taking. Oh, I remember taking a pair of wellies as well for some reason. Anyway, we got to where we were going, and me and another little boy, we got taken to the wrong school. We got separated and we got taken to the wrong school. By the time they realised that, all the evacuees that were in our party had all been taken by the people that were waiting for them, and somebody else had taken the people. Some people had taken the people that I should have been evacuated with, so we had to sit down in the shelter and wait for somebody to come for us. Well, they brought us a bottle of milk and some biscuits to eat. And then all of a sudden a voice popped up and said, "Oh, we'll take her. And I went with these people and I went to a lovely family. But unfortunately for me, I was that homesick. I cried for the first 6 weeks, day and night, and they didn't think I'd ever stop crying. They sent for my best friend, Mary Lang. Their parents had a sweet shop round the corner from where we lived. I sent for her and it didn't make any difference, so she went back to the people she was with. And suddenly I just stopped crying and I settled in, and they were lovely people. There was blood, and there was the grandmother and the grandfather Reese, and I had a friend, Brenda. She was 3 years older than me, and Jean was another friend, and she was 3 years younger. She was as old as my brother. I had a brother, Bernard, and she was as old as Bernard, and we just settled in. But the problem was, I don't think I did settle in, because they wanted to take me to places, to the seaside and all these different places, and I wouldn't go with them because I thought they were going to take me there, but they weren't going to bring me back, so I wouldn't go anywhere. And I remember going to see one pantomime, Cinderella, and it was a lovely pantomime, and that was the only outing I would go on with them, and I still thought, I'm going to be left there, they won't bring me back. Anyway, the war went on and we could see the orange sky. Over the mountains we could see the orange sky, and we could hear the bombs dropping and the guns going off in England. And I lived at the bottom of the mountains, and there was a coal mine opposite the mountains. And when there was anything happens, this loud hooter would go off, and everybody would run from the houses because they were so worried in case people had been killed. And they would stand at the top of the mine until everybody came out of that mine. And I always remember that going off, and it was horrible. You could hear everybody's door opening and you could hear them running to the top of the mine. And yes, I had a lovely time. And I also, when I was down there, I won a prize for the person that picked up speaking Welsh the best. And I went on the radio, standing on this lorry, and I went on the radio and spoke to my mum and dad on the radio. And I remember saying, "Hello, Mummy, hello, Daddy." And I just remember all that. Life went on. We went to Malcolm's birthday party, which was lovely. And I went to a lovely school there, and the teachers were lovely. And we had a lovely playground and an orchard to play in as well. so many nice things about being evacuated. And one day, I was off, I got a bad heel, I got a blister on my heel, and I was off going to Sunday school, and the door knocked, and I went to the door, I answered the door, and there was a man and lady standing there. So I just ran back into the house, and I said, oh, it's a man and lady at the door. And believe it or not, it was my mother and father. They'd come to see me, and I didn't even recognise them. And they came in, and we had a lovely reunion. And my dad made me stand up and sing all these songs in English and Welsh, and for every song that I sang, he gave me sixpence in old money. And that was lovely, that was. And while I was there, because my dad was a pianist and he played all over the place, he played on radio and ex-servicemen's clubs and hippodromes and everywhere he could play, he did. He played at clubs, and he's very much in demand. And I used to get sent some lovely presents. I had some lovely dresses sent, and shoes, socks, and chocolates, and teddy bears, and everything they could send. People used to send me, and I had a lovely time. And I said we went to Malcolm's birthday party. I do remember that very much. And when we went to school, we had to go over this lovely stream, and it was as clear as can be. And we used to go fishing for tadpoles down there. Oh, such lovely. We used to have such lovely snowy winters, and it seemed that we had such lovely, nice, warm summers as well. That's going back. Anyway, in 1944, I went and answered the door, and my mother was standing there, although I didn't recognise her. She'd come to take me home, because apparently they wanted to adopt me. And my mother came to take me home, and I remember coming back on the coach with her, or the bus, whatever it was. She bought some sandwiches with her, and I remember coming back to the house, and when I got in there, my uncle Ernie was sitting in the chair, because while my uncle Ernie was sitting in the chair then, they got a coal fire, and they'd been bombed out. So my granddad and my other uncle had gone to live somewhere else, and my uncle Ernie had come to live with us. And he was just like a second father to me. Oh, it was lovely. And that was in May 1944 I came back. And in May 1945, the war ended. Oh, and did we have parties and bonfires? Went to loads of parties and loads of bonfires, and it was lovely. And thinking about it, it was a very nice experience for me being evacuated, but it wasn't the same for all children that went. Some children went to very nasty homes where they were treated terrible, and they were sent back home, or they had to put up with the conditions. But I was very, very lucky with the lovely people I was with, and they made me very happy. But then I came back home and I met my mum and my dad, and there was all these parties going on the year after, and it was lovely. I can't really tell you anything else about it, apart that I had a very, very happy evacuation period. And if all children had had that, they would be very lucky. But you won't have to experience that, however old you are. I was 5 when I went in 1940, and however old you are now, you won't experience that, because they won't dare have another war now, because it'd be a nuclear one if they did. So